I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Centre and on behalf of the School of Computer Science and Applied Maths to this very prestigious event. We'd like to welcome most especially Fazal, who's joining us online. We would have loved to have seen you here in person, but we do know that you're here in this room with us in spirit. I'd like to thank everybody that's here in this room with us. Thank you to those who have travelled. We've got some guests from UKZN, which is wonderful, Victoria, Unisa, and others. This morning we're gathered together in celebration of a very prestigious researcher, former CoE-MaSS director, and professor in mathematics. And you'll hear some wonderful words that are spoken this morning about you, Prof. Fazal. To begin our program, I'd like to welcome the Dean, Professor Nithya Chetty, to say a few words to us this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Good morning, good day, Fazal. It's terrific to see you again. And it is indeed a sad day for all of us to bid you a formal farewell from this. But in reality, it's no farewell at all. We are already in the process of processing your emeritus professorship, going through to the faculty staff and promotions committee just in another couple of weeks or so, and that will be formalized very soon. So I expect then that you will continue to have an association with the person for many years to come. I'm delighted that you continue with your research and encourage you to do that. Really want to wish you well in your retirement, and family in particular. Wish you well, especially after your health. So delighted to see so many colleagues here today, old friends and new. Special welcome to Professor Raj, who was shot from Fazal was an old friend. A former colleague at UKZN, I spent a couple of years there, 2 years ago now. But I want to recall recently, just barely a month or so ago, when I interviewed Fazal. Faculty of Science is running a conversation in science series, somewhat a podcast series, and the interview itself is not being released in a long kind of editing process following the interview, and it will be released in the next edition of the Faculty of Science newsletter. But the interview is about 45 minutes, but it's been reduced down to about 20 minutes. So when you do get to see that, I hope you'd appreciate the wonderful and really warm conversation that I had with Fazal. A highlight in my life, no doubt, awe-inspiring, and I recall Fazal paying homage and expressing appreciation to Sunil. Sunil was a very reason that Fazal arrived with his students. And you should listen to that podcast. Very, very was mentioned. So, colleagues, Fazal's had an outstanding life, and many of you have worked with him professionally, and no doubt today we'll get to hear a good deal about his accomplishments. I'll say a little bit about that in a moment. But through the interview and my interactions with Fazal during about a couple of months ago, preceding the actual interview itself, we shared a good deal over email, and I came to appreciate enormously Fazal's very humble background. And as many of us have known, he came from Durban, grew up in Overport, went to CoE school. Certainly was very well known school that produced many quality individuals, and certainly had, despite the all of the disadvantages and difficulties, challenges that came from growing up in an apartheid environment. Schools like St. Aidan's in Durban certainly had fantastic, fantastic teachers and very dedicated teachers. And Fazal, reminisced would deal with me about the fact that the teachers really pushed him to his limits, often challenged him in ways that I don't always see today. Today, we often come very mundanely and routinely go through teaching the curriculum, and when class is done, folks just simply go back home. But not in those days. There was a strong yearning for students like Fazal who showed potential to reach for the stars, and this was always very grateful for teachers. Let's say any school that later on at St. Henry High, that was in Asheville in Durban, that really pushed him to his limits, and that's a good thing. He also was very appreciative of his grandpa, and spoke very glowingly about his grandpa teaching multiplication. So despite the hardships that apartheid brought upon most of us, Fazal grew. Was able to transcend those challenges. 1980 was a difficult year. I would say in the trick that year, Fazal was already the risk, which was quite a hotbed of political activism. Would have been quite difficult to navigate these choices around his academic career and what was very necessary for him to take up protests against the apartheid government. Nevertheless, there was a great sense of community that brought Fazal together, and ultimately there was sitting that encouraged Fazal to come to Wits University, and Fazal mentioned to me that very fondly that it was his very first trip that he made to Wits University 41 years ago. It was Sunil that drove him up to Johannesburg, and that's an awesome experience, I bet. So as you well know, colleagues, when you're working in the field of mathematics, you know already about the groundbreaking work that Fazal has done. He's certainly an internationally recognized scholar in areas of algebraic and geometric methods of differential equations. He's published more than 260 research papers. He served as a director of the research group called DECMA. You will know differential equations, continuum mechanics, and applications. Just prior to that, following that, he's quite involved in proposing that Wits host the SI-NRF Center of Excellence in Mathematical and Statistical Sciences, which hosts us here today. Thank you, Casey and Benji, who's not here, I guess. Probably it's Bruce. Bruce is iterated, probably. There's lots of different entities here. Thank you, Bruce, for hosting us, and of course for all of the hard work in putting this together. So Fazal has many accolades. I cannot go through all of that, but the one that I'm especially fond of was obviously the Transformation of Science Cohort Award that he received from the in 2014. That really spoke very much to the generation of the development of the new generation of mathematicians. And you will well know that many of Fazal's former students have gone on to be very successful in their careers. I think that's a huge hallmark of the impression and the impact that it's had over these years. And really, this is a question that I, from time to time, do ask during interviews from all sorts of interview posts in the Faculty of Science. It's a very telling question. What have your students done? Because that says an awful lot, right? And I think Fazal can be very proud of the contribution that he made in terms of growing the next generation. certainly been highly committed in promoting research, not only in South Africa, but also internationally. I would say then that the BC's Research Award for Research Excellence 1997, that is certainly a hallmark that Fazal can feel very proud of. Also being a fellow of the Royal Society of South Africa, Royal Society of probably fellow of the Academy of Science of South Africa, so fellow of the African Academy of Sciences. And as Dean of Science, I want to express my thanks to you for having served the faculty as Assistant Dean for Research some years ago. So Fazal, from my side, a big thanks to you. This is really just a formal gathering for us to express our appreciation to you, to say a big thanks to you, but not really an absolute farewell, because I certainly expect that you will continue to have a strong association with BITS. I long to see you here on South African shores again here at BITS. Certainly have a live lunch together and to chat further, but please do count on my support, the support of the faculty, support of your own School of Computer Science and Applied Maths, support of the Center of Excellence in Mathematical and Statistical Sciences. And through your time away, I do want to recognize Brian Fred today has really held the fort through a difficult period. I did a marvelous job when he was together. You both from the flag, the Center of Excellence is very high. It's a national Center of Excellence, of course, that has had for many generations. So very thankful. I look forward to the other presentations as well to share with you their thoughts on the reflections.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd like to welcome Professor Bruce Watson, who's the Acting Director of the Centre.
Thank you. I would like to thank Fazal for, amongst other things, his 10 years of the directorship of the Centre of Excellence. In that time, it grew from a relatively small entity focused around around 5 universities. It now reaches almost every university and higher education institution in South Africa, promoting the math sciences there, promoting conferences, interactions, research. It has become a part of the national fabric of the mathematical sciences. And that's due to 10 years of exceptional leadership, development, and going through many interesting times. And certainly Fazal and Kaz ran the Centre of Excellence through probably one of the most interesting times in modern history. The years of COVID lockdown, those by with 1665 when Cambridge University was shut and Newton was sent home from Cambridge. During that time, Newton did some of his finest works, his theory of gravitation, the study of white light as the splitting into spectra. So we hope that when we look back on the years, through the COVID years, we'll say that shut down, people sending people away and home and into isolation, will actually have had some excellent payoff. I know during that time, Fazal was stuck in Australia and has led to him ending up there. But we hope that it has also been an excellent research time. I know that before Fazal moved to Australia, he did some absolutely stunning work on symmetries, some of the foundational work on how you apply symmetries, building on Lee's work to apply symmetries to differential equations, all manner of different differential equations, along with extending the work of Luther in that area. He also attracted many other world leaders in the area to Wits. For instance, Bruggemoff came to Wits because of Fazal's work, his interactions, and he had an incredibly productive research group running at Wits, focused around the study of symmetries in differential equations. So his impact was not just in the School of Applied Maths as it was then, or the Center of Excellence. He enriched enormously the fabric of both. And through the Center of Excellence, the entire fabric of mathematical sciences in South Africa. And we would like to thank you, Fazal, for that enormous contribution.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Now I'd like to call on the head of school for computer science and applied maths, Professor John Mochetti. Thank you.
I nearly said good morning in my language, but nevertheless, I may not have to speak as a head of school, but how I know Fazal. I remember in 1996 when I was at the University of Pretoria, Fazal came with Abdul Kara as well, and Ibrahimov, Gazizov, and people like that to our school. What amazed me was I was looking at this, especially Professor Kara and Professor Fazal, looking at the two, and Fazal was teaching the air, and they were talking mathematics, and I'm thinking, what is going on with these people? But in that time, that became an inspiration for me actually to follow both the gentlemen's steps. And that was very, very inspiring. I mean, at the rural university at the time, when Ibrahimov visited there, and you guys came there, it was really. In 2007, I came to Wits at the Wireless Centenary Seminar that was organized by Professor Mason and Fazal and the others. George Blumen was there as well. If you remember well, Fazal, you asked me, why don't I come to Wits? And I was looking at Fazal and I was like, why would you ask me that question? But nevertheless, I came to Wits because Professor Fazal Mahomed, Professor Ramesh Barutram, and Eunice Balam actually made sure that I came to this place. In 2008, I started at Wits. From there was a lot of collaboration I did with Fazal. I mean, I went to Pakistan for about 6 months at a time. Fazal was there at the same time. He made me feel at home. That was really, I still appreciate Professor Mahomed. In 2016, I became the head of school. And I always reach out to the full professors in the school and to ask them about ideas of implementing the strategic plans that I had at the time and the visions and missions. And Fazal was always there to give an advice, and I always followed. There are many other people in the School of Computer Science and Applied Mathematics that can attest that Professor Mahomed has actually assisted them in their careers. I mean, most of them are lecturers here as well. On behalf of the School of Computer Science and Applied Mathematics, we know that Professor Mahomed will still be with us as an emeritus professor, and we really also appreciate that. We would like to thank you for all the good things that you've done for us. And especially for me in particular, I wouldn't be here if it was not for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. I'd like to call now on Professor David Mason. Thank you.
Well, greetings, Fazal. It's nice to see you again after quite a long while. Preparing this few words, I was reminded of the first time that you came to Wits. That was to do an honours degree. then a master's degree and PhD. And that was about 1985 or so. And Sunil was also doing his PhD at that time. So we had two people, Fazal and Sunil, who were sort of destined to make a very major contribution to applied maths. We used to compare Fazal and Sunil, both highly capable. Sunil liked cricket, Fazal liked football. I remember when Fazal finished his honours degree, he actually came to my office and asked if he could do the master's in coursework and research reports and general relativity. And I said, well, you're very welcome to do that, but first of all, look around the department, see if there's anything else that you might prefer to do. And I said, Professor Beach, for example, works in differential equations. You might discuss a master's and PhD with Professor Beach. And Fazal decided to work in differential equations with Professor Beach. I don't know if Fazal remembers that. So that was quite a significant event that just happened at that time. Fazal with differential equations. Got a PhD with Professor Leach, and then I remember being at his interview for a position in the school, and was in Professor Leach's office, and very short interview because the ability was very obvious, and we're very glad to have him. Then Professor Leach left, and then you mentioned Professor Fazal worked with Neil Bergamo, and Neil set up a center on symmetry analysis. But Neil went to Northwest University, and then Fazal became head of that center. And also, I remember also having a meeting with Fazal and to discuss what this center should do. And we discussed it, and we decided to call it DECMA, the Center for Differential Equations, Continuum Mechanics, and Applications. And I'll always be grateful for Fazal for allowing us to include continuum mechanics in the name of the center. It was a center in which we had the methods, symmetry analysis, and differential equations, and also the problems coming through continuum mechanics, and also the E at the end is application, any application, and there were applications, any fields. I mainly worked with Fazal through DECMA, so kind of say a few words about DECMA. The first problem I was working, continuum mechanics, fluid mechanics, and elasticity is a non-linear subject. And for that reason, symmetry analysis is very important. And all the people who went through DECMA had a very good grounding in symmetry analysis. And that's the feature of people or graduates, athletes in continuum mechanics at that time. Many of them went on to become members of staff in the School of Computational Applied Mathematics. Perhaps I can read out the names of the people. They did master's, PhD degrees in DECMA, which Fazal and I were generally supervisor. There was Nicolette Roussos, Ebra Mamoniat, Kevin Pereira, Rihanna Niles, who's now a chair professor at the University in Pakistan, Gideon Fario, Bea Gatley, Ashley Hutchison, who very nice to see Ashley at this meeting. Naima Modheim, Agnes Megan, Eric Mubai, and associate lecturer Kendall Born. They've all come through DECMA, members of staff, but also other students, many that didn't go on to academic careers. And involved the Emerkov-Finney equation and nonlinear superposition. Professor Leach had talked a lot about that, but it's nice to be able to work on a problem involving nonlinear superposition, in which the solution is the nonlinear superposition of the harmonic solutions of the harmonic oscillator equation. And Fazal explained how to apply Lie group analysis to get that type of solution. And characteristically, his name is not on the paper. Contribution he made as very often. We then went on to thin fluid film theory, and Ebra Mahoniat did a lot of work on that, and we saw how thin Lie group analysis could be applied to thin fluid films. And one of the first papers there was by Mahoniat, Mason, and Mohammed, which used the triple MP. and set up was a sort of initial paper and a long series of papers. Now, the major contribution was in application of conservation laws in continuum mechanics. And the student who worked on that to begin with was Diana Nass. And conservation laws are very important because it leads to conserved quantities in fluid mechanics. And it was a systematic way of finding conserved quantities. We published a paper with Rihanna Nass and Fazal myself, and that's a highly cited paper on conservation. We apply conservation laws to many problems, spreading of thin fluid films, also in particular to weights. That's the flow behind a body. And Ashley Hutchison did her PhD in that area and worked out the conservation laws and conserved quantities in the weights. Now, leading on from conservation laws was the double reduction theorem, which was established by Fazal's student Ashley Strober at UJ, and also Fazal with several papers in that area. And that's got many, explains many things in fluid mechanics, why you can solve some problems and why you can't solve others. If you can associate the 3-point symmetry with a conservation law, then you can integrate the equation once. If you cannot, then you cannot do that. And it came up at the conference in Stellenbosch that we attended last year, in which it was extended. Can't remember. Neil will remind me the name of the person who did it. Remember the talk we did? Who was that? That's sorry, Stephen Anko. Extended it from just 2 reductions to several reductions. And I think he was quite impressed to learn the initial work that's done at UG and at Leeds. Now, many applications have been made in DECMA to hydraulic fracturing. That's um, uh, which is very important in geothermal reservoirs in Kenya, for example, which they open up fractures by high pressure water. And also recently we've been working on wind turbines, levitating weight behind the wind turbine. And all that is through technique. I was going to sort of end with the workshop on boiler workshop, saying that Techno was responsible for Joel Musheki coming to this. I think that was true. I remember we had a dinner, and I think Joel sat next to the dean. And the dean said, "No, we must get this guy to this." Interviewed him about 2 weeks after the workshop.
He still insists on sitting next to
And in the first decade of the 20th century, due to David Sherwood's, push research in the school, the School of Computational Applied Mathematics became the top research school in the science faculty, according to publications, and largely due to the publications of Fazal and other people like Edgar and so on who worked on that. So Fazal, I was very, very happy to learn that if everything works out well, you'll become an associate and emeritus research professor. So that's good. You can join the club, and we look forward to continuing the research. So I won't say farewell, just look forward to our work.
Thank you very much, Prof. Mason. I'd now like to call on Sudan Hansroach, who's travelled from UKZN. We really appreciate that you've travelled to join us. Thank you.
We thank the organizers firstly for inviting us for this occasion. I'm so happy to see Fazal there. It's probably wondering why we made this trip from Durban when it's going to be a virtual event. Well, I mean, the reason is because yes, we wanted to be here where everybody else was celebrating your achievements. Actually, that's not the reason. I was misled by a senior colleague. I won't mention any names, but he will be speaking later on. And he said, "Yeah, the flight details." So we have to home at 5 in the morning. Come here and participate, which we could have done online. But anyway, we are so pleased to be here, and what a wonderful occasion. Listen about your achievements. It would have been much nicer if you were here in person. I was actually particularly pleased to listen to Nithya at the beginning, calling that you actually hail from Centenary Secondary. I started my life as a school teacher at Centenary Secondary. The school will be very proud to know that you have achieved such heights, and they have produced a person of your caliber. In fact, I must get the word out of them because they keep in touch with people who come to the system there. So congratulations to the school and to you. I didn't have much interaction with Fazal very early on in my career. When I was doing my PhD at UKZN under Prof. Mahomed, I met up with Kesh, Governor, and by that time, Prof. Beach was in Durban. And I learned that these two guys were disciples of Beach, studying ordinary differential equations and that kind of stuff. And I was a greenhorn in research at that time, of course, for many years. And then I soon realized that actually these differential equations guys were making a very healthy living scouring the bins of people like us, like who work in general relativity, trying to find differential equations which they could solve. And they were actually publishing papers in general relativity in the big name journals that we publish in nowadays. Back then they were achieving a lot. And it turned out those achievements were not minor achievements. They were quite good advances in the science, because ultimately when you study general relativity and physical theories, often happens, you can actually avoid differential equations if you like, but your work will no doubt tend to be frivolous at low level. But if you impose some physical constraints on your problem, you eventually end up getting cornered by a differential equation. And that's where many relativists jump off the bus, because often you can't proceed any further. And then the knowledge of that system remains locked until people who have done serious work, heavy lifting in differential equations, such as Fazal and Kara and others, come along and find methods to crack the equation. And certainly the Lie group analysis technique proved to be useful at that stage, and is even useful now. I still see some of our students dabbling in Lie group analysis. So I think it's all a testament to the work, earlier work that Fazal has done. And in time, our interaction with Fazal were through his work as director of the CoE. And I must say that he had a good influence in the CoE. In fact, most of us are accustomed to dealing with the NRF, which is a cold bureaucratic system. But dealing with people at the CoE was much more pleasurable. And I think it has to do with Fazal's personality, the culture that he created amongst the people who worked there, even during the time when he was away. That carried on, and the people, the staff members were always helpful, personable, and they always try to make things work. You can't say for the same of the bureaucratic setup, even like university, in the bigger places like NRF. So we must thank you for that input. He made the system, in other words, user-friendly, and we are very confident when we make applications or interface with people on the CoE side. As I mentioned, we always have these conferences in KZN that deal with certain specialized topics. Often it's about differential equations, and there's a featured speaker. He comes along, he speaks, interacts with the students very freely. They actually appreciate that. In fact, my daughter is also a postdoc in math. And she told me that she comes to CoE events, and Fazal personally comes to escort her to the room. That's the kind of person he is, and that's highly appreciated. In fact, younger people, as they grow up, fondly remember that kind of interaction. One thing he did at our conferences, that he was highly offended by us using phraseology like highly nonlinear equations. In his language, it's either nonlinear or linear. So, the nonlinear is, another level. He was offended that we were using adjectives to describe the level of nonlinearity. But that's common in KZN. We describe wines and so on the same way. We have the Maharaj notations system, like drinkable, possible. It's culture in KZN. Fazal, I'm highly honored to be part of your event here, and I wish you all the best for the future. I don't know what the word retirement means for an academic. Probably just a word, just maybe salaries and all that stuff. But I'm quite sure your good work will carry on, and I wish you everything of the best for the future. Take care.
Thank you very much. And that was wonderful. I'd like to now call on another traveller from UKZN, Sunil Maharaj. Thanks, Sunil.
Fazal, great to see you. Great pleasure. As Sudan pointed out, it was our intention to meet you personally, but we understand the circumstances. And at least the fact that we meet online, it's equally good. And it's great to be here. It's great to see the CoE-MaSS and what university have done in arranging function in this time. It is very well done. So, I've got several points that I'd like to make, so make notes to the thing. And so, I've known Fazal for many decades earlier, and so he's been a colleague, but more than a colleague, he's a friend, personal friend. We've had interactions over time, and what I'd like to say is that over this entire period that we've had, we've never had a disagreement, never fought, and that's a remarkable thing. Earlier on, David Mason indicated that Fazal had an interest in football, an interest in cricket. But what Professor Mason brought to indicate that Fazal also has remarkable person, great interest in boxing. Also, the mind is even huge. Takes this experience. Come alive. So I probably know Fazal for the longest period. Everyone here. I think in the early days, when he first came up with sales. So Mason and H. But I go before earlier than that. And I met him when he was an undergraduate student at Penn University of Denmark. And in fact, I think, Fazal, to be fair to say, I know you even longer than Mrs. Mahomed. Her knowledge may be more intimate than mine is. And productivity trumps intimacy. So I joined Brooks University as a master. The early days when one had to travel. And I visited university, Southern Westwood, vacation period, and I met Fazal. And I remember the location we met was the upper cafe of the Westwood campus. It has a nice sounding name, but it's undergraduate eating place, quite sleazy. I'm happy to say it continues to exist, moved down a level, more in the basement, smaller operation, but still remains sleazy. So we had a conversation, and what struck me was that Fazal had this very deep interest in creations and wanting to work. And he was going to this West. And I thought that was quite right because we didn't have people in the beach equations. So I suggested to them that and I'm glad to give that advice. And he joined Brits as a research student. Went on to finish his PhD on cloud, joined the Hidden Star, remained at Brits for the rest of his professional life. So I would like to think that I was positive influence, at least in that direction. And I was very pleased to hear from me getting that processes in place for appointing emeritus professor. I think this is very well deserved, based on your long association with Brits, but also your work at CoE, and your teaching, your research, and postgraduate supervision. And I think Nithya did point out earlier that the impact we have on students is what really something one really looks back at the end. How do you influence life? And I should point out that I was at a conference recently, COVID, and in Florida, Israel also there. And we met someone who was your former student, Professor Fazal, who was also the colleague there. He was at the conference, gave a talk, and we interacted, and he spoke most glowingly of your experience interacting out. And I think he's now a professor at University of Mississippi. Yes, yes. So his research has been mentioned, the dungeons and unions, the symmetries of equations, and broadly normal differential equations. I won't go into that, but I would like to say something that hasn't been touched on. I like that. Even though he's just more in differential equation construction, his work is impacted on many applications, and it has also impacted in areas of my research. My research is gravity, general relativity, modified gravity, applications. Now, it seems that these areas are split not much of methodology techniques and results that come out for work that lies critical foundations, such as the phase of others. I thought I should mention a few of these applications very briefly, but this to show that his work has had influence way beyond what he originally said. The first example I'd like to mention is shear free flows. These are very important in spherically symmetric gravitational fields, and they influence the dynamic behavior in space-time. So he obtained some crucial deep results in this. This was published in classical gravity, top German field, and this paper was published in Dr. So they performed a comprehensive analysis on a known solution, new solution, showed why other solutions are possible. Now, this in the field is considered seminal contribution, and in our field, gravity, we have what's Bible. This compendium of all the solutions for physically significant have important geometrical feature. What's called exact solution of Einstein can be expressed at this height. The second is higher dimensional charge fields. So he was looking at this differential equation underlying the dynamics of such fluids in general relativity. And this was also published in classical quantum gravity. Again, deep comprehensive analysis was performed. And something that you pointed out, Fazal pointed out, that has only really begun to impact the field now, was that this dynamical behavior critically depends space-time dimension. And this connection from very important higher dimensional theories of gravity and the modified gravity as well is generating a lot of traction, literature, and thought transformation. Okay. The third example, again, related to sorts of things I do. Indian power, I think this is decent of freedom equation. So there was a seminal deep contribution by Fazal and his co-workers, where they looked at polytropic distributions of matter, important in structures of CRs. I think this work was done with a colleague called Mahomed, who I think was also your, yes, you did his PhD with it? No. No, he did his PhD in a different area in Scotland. Later changed. So it was post-creation. But this work was, and there's several other papers, was the first comprehensive study of solid shocks and symmetries, general setting in the Newtonian pattern, published in nonlinear analysis. Now, this study is of critical importance, looking at gravitational behavior and evolution of these shocks, stellar structure and gas phase. And interestingly, now in modern theories of gravity, the level of theories of gravity, this work is being more traction and being extended to space-time's higher curvature. So these are 3 examples which I thought I should mention because they, close to my area of interest, but it shows how much of an impact this work has had in areas outside what actual attention. And I'm sure other areas also. His contributions to directorship, Center of Excellence, MaSS has been mentioned. I just want to mention one feature, which to me was critical. When setting up a structure, one thing dogmatic, but forceful structure. But Fazal saw himself more. Saw himself more as enabling. This allowed interactions to grow, to evolve in an organic way. And I was asked to be the focus area called originally, this was supposed to be symmetries only. But Fazal suggested we should add mechanics and applications. To me, that seems broken, but actually, in hindsight, it turned out to be a wise thing because you wanted to make a focus area which is raw, and there will always be an application workshop research going on, which doesn't fit into a slot. So you could put them into the slot and publish. So I think that was a very useful thing and really helped. So I was going to say well-deserved retirement, but I'm such continuing with this. Hopefully, taking a glimpse of us at a few days at then. When I mentioned to my wife yesterday that coming up for this semi-retirement party, so she asked me to send regards to your family, and she says there's going to be some negative consequence to your family because they're going to get twice as in terms of time, twice as much of the Fazal Mahomed, but only half the salary. So on that note, all the best, and we're going to take contact.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call on Professor Al now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fazal, well, many have spoken about the work you've done. Of course, we worked together on so many papers. So I'm going to get a bit personal. I hope CoE is not listening. He's not around. But Sunil mentioned that he knows you longer than Mrs. Mahomed. What we should tell them, this is real secret stuff. Fazal met Mrs. Mahomed for the first time the day he got married. So I had to mention that. And that was, of course, part of your Pakistani experience. Fazal and I go back a long time, and I'll just quickly try to remember some of those things. So when I was doing my master's, Gary Roach, who incidentally was the supervisor I learned of Yatsen, was on a sabbatical at Wits, and he gave us course in partial differential equations, and you were doing you were in the applied maths department, decided to attend the course. And that's where we got to know each other. And a few years later, I was going through some personal crisis, and Fazal by that time had finished his PhD and said, maybe it might be good for you to just start a PhD. Because by that time, I was not interested in being a PhD. I was a senior tutor, I was going to stick with teaching. But he gave me the set of notes and said, just read it, maybe you like it. I never looked back. You know, when Ismail Mahomed, the group theorist, retired from Wits to join Parliament in '94, so, and gave his little talk in our maths common room, he mentioned that his experiences are about people. So what the hell is he speaking about? And two, that is what it was about. So my involvement with mathematics and so on, from then on, was about people. Through you and through our great Motherland conference of '94, I mean, to me, I was impressed as a young person meeting people who are mentioned in textbooks. You know, all of them. Colin Rogers. There was a whole lot of people. Of course, we even met Shoka Braha at the conference. Now, you know Shoka Braha, of course you know, because you walked up Mount Etna with her. Shoka Braha, of course, is well known for producing solutions to the Einstein equations under certain conditions. Incidentally, she turned 100 in December. So, I mean, I met these great people thanks to you. And it just went on. We met, of course, Naim. We got him to eat biryani at our place. Reaches for the first time in his life. But apparently in Russia, there are no beaches. I'm talking the truth. So, Fazal, you and I, we've been more friends than colleagues, but we've worked a lot on mathematics. And David mentioned a number of people that have gone through you. You didn't mention the John Pillais. I mean, you supervised one of the brothers, I supervised the other one. They are now professors wherever they are. In the maths department, there's 3-4 people that have gone through the same, like the Prof or Mensa and so on. It's just basically all about people. And of course, I'd like to mention, I mean, David mentioned a big thing about the symmetries and conservation laws. For me, that was really what set me up there. Gave me a job for a number of years thereafter. You recall that with this famous letter, and there was no email, of course, there was this famous letter from Ian Anderson in Utah to say, well, why don't you try looking at your work in this manner? And you recall that he set up the whole thing using differential forms, and you and I had no knowledge of differential forms. I remember borrowing a book from you, by Stephen Weintraub, and you and I learned differential forms. And most of the calculations we did it was just this place. We used to visit Malaysia. And we ended up with this big paper that generalized Newton's work. So that was for me quite an impressive thing. Probably for me, that was the biggest achievement in my career. Thanks to you. Now, just the other day, Peter Leach gave a talk at NITEX on Tuesday. And as he spoke, I was thinking essentially about you, because Peter Leach's work with you at Wits was big. I mean, you published a paper whilst you're doing honors. You were involved in linearization of differential equations. You were involved in classification of differential equations using symmetry algebras and all kinds of things. And that was long before we did any work. So, and I think in your master's, you published a number of books. Quite amazing. So you've done a lot of work, and it's a great achievement. And a lot of us are indebted to you for introducing us to all those fields. In fact, you even introduced me to tech, what later became later, which is unheard of before. You know, people just type their papers using those golf balls for the Greek alphabets and so on. So that was another great thing you've done. Thank you very much for all that. And of course, we've been friends ever since. And I hope you have many, many more. About boxing, yes. In fact, the copy of the book, The Greatest by Muhammad Ali I read, was your copy. And I remember leaving lots of marks in the copy because it was a great book. So yes, he was involved in boxing. I remember Fraser and I, because it was a family sport with us two, we often spoke about boxing and so on. And there was this movie, and I think maybe that's where we are, with all the retired boxers, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Barry Holmes, and so on. There was a movie When We Were Kings. I always think that is what it's about. You know, when you retire, we want to remember when we were kings. Unfortunately, it's always about the past. So it's been a long journey. So I'd like to say, to quote Amitabh Bachchan. I'll explain to those of you that don't know who Amitabh Bachchan is. You know, you know the song. It says, "Na koi gham, na koi khushi, no happiness, no sadness, na koi raah, no koi manzil, no destination, no journey. Just this, sit here, kabhi kabhi, mere dil mein khayal aate hain." That sometimes we get these thoughts in our heart, and that's really what it's about. And let's hope that we can always remember what we've done, and it will take us on along a journey in the future. You won't be forgotten. Thank you, Faith, for watching.
Very much. Fazal, we'd like to give you an opportunity to say some words to us all. That's some words of wisdom, which I know you have. Thank you very much, Fazal.
Thank you very much. It's very difficult to be away in your farewell. And reflecting on the memories that all of you have just mentioned, it makes me cry that I'm away and not there with you. And it's become, when you were talking about all these aspects about what happened at BITS and UDW, Anthony was talking, Abdul was talking in South Africa, Northwest and so on. I just bring back those fond memories for me. And I wish I could get back to those things because I think the best way in mathematics is, I should keep on telling my students, you need to be able to teach your fellow students, your community members, and that's how you know mathematics in a better way. And I think there's so much of opportunities for South Africa to develop further in mathematics compared to other parts of the world because of the craving that people have in different areas, in different schools for mathematical sciences. I remember when the World Mathematical Year 2000 took place, and we tried to get the banks to support us to have medals for giving to students, to researchers and so on. Like we tried to interact with students like, what is mathematics? What has it done for you? And how you can use it and how can you go on with it. And I think this kind of stuff has changed quite a lot now with the online learning and stuff like that. And sometimes we don't tend to write things down to construct our problem solving. I remember Professor Mason used to tell us, you need to be able to solve problem by writing it down and trying to look at each step by step. Things have changed a lot now with younger people wanting to do things quickly because you want to be online, you want to waste time. But there are a lot of things in mathematics that require a lot of thinking and a lot of writing and a lot of repetition and a lot of mistakes that you're going to make. And some of the unsolved problems in mathematics, in whichever way you look at it, whether it's number theory, differential equations, polynomials, you cannot just do it quickly. You need to think about it, come back, and then try to reconstruct and make your mistakes. And I think that's why in the old times when people used to be caught up in their houses with snowfalls or heat waves, they used to have this individual brilliant rays into something. Now there's more collaboration, there's more online or more quick learning things. And I think we tend to forget that mathematics, we need that aspect of mathematics where we need to go down and say, hey, we need to sit down and try to think about something and even make lots of mistakes. Now it's publish or perish. The qualitative aspects no longer is no longer there, or very little is there. Very few people look at individual brilliant rate into a subject. There's more collaborative efforts, there's more publish or perish. And I think the important thing is, how do we leave our footprints for future generations in wherever we are? I think that's why I think when CoE-MaSS was inaugurated, we wanted to reach out to the whole country, and we managed to do that. Now the important thing is how each part of the country could reflect on mathematics and see where they can move on with mathematics in their community, for their people, for the whole country, for the world. And I think a lot of you said a lot of things in appreciation, and I think without your great support, I wouldn't achieve anything. I think it's we need to support each other, help each other. And my career was built on many of you with your great support, and many people that are not here who have left us also. Some names were mentioned. There's huge names to be mentioned, but I don't have the time to say these things. I'd like to thank the Math Sciences School, the Math Sciences in the country, all of you, the CoE-MaSS in the future under Bruce. I hope, wish you very well in the future. I'd like to apologize for the mistakes I've made, and sincerely, and I hope we can continue by removing all those difficulties, and the growth of mathematical sciences in South Africa prospers, and it becomes embedded in a set as well. And I think I hold great memories of WITS. WITS has been the place that I've been in, and of course at UKZN, Northwest also, and I've been to other parts, and I wish that I can be back again there, and to be with all of you, and to enjoy mathematics, to give talks on mathematics, popular talks. We even have research in mathematics. And again, I'd like to thank all of you, and I wish you all the very best, and I hope the center stays for many, many more years under Bruce, and all of you to support the center in all its activities, and to work with other entities as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fazal. I think it's important in life to remember that we all make mistakes. And I don't think there's any need to apologize for mistakes. So we learn from our mistakes, and I know personally myself and many, many others have learned wonderful things from you, Fazal. I remember the days before I was involved in the Centre of Excellence that you used to come and chat to me in the office, and those are wonderful moments I have from you. I would like to read a short message from Professor Zedlon Lakazi, the Vice Chancellor at WITS. He apologizes for not being able to make this farewell, but he'd just like us to convey this message to you, and I'll say this in his words. Fazal is such a WITS stalwart, a great applied mathematician, and most importantly, a gentleman to boot, who is such a kind and humble soul. Please pass my regards and thanks to him. And then I would also like to let you know, Fazal, that Professor Louise Wononka was tried to come to this farewell. He sends his apologies. He was the previous Vice Chancellor at WITS. He sends his apologies. He has a family crisis that he has to deal with, but I know he's here in spirit, and he sends his regards. And then centre. I'd like to have share a special thank you to those who have spoken this morning. We loved hearing the stories about Fazal and about your interactions with Fazal. And it's just been a wonderful celebration, Fazal, of all your amazing achievements, of setting up the centre as well as all your other achievements. But I talk from the Centre of Excellence point of view, of setting up the Centre of Excellence, and for you and Kaz taking it through so many years. And Bruce and I are going to try very hard to continue to take it forward for many, many years in our current format and with the exciting new things we have. Hopefully that will happen in the future. So thank you, Fazal. I'd like to thank all the participants online for joining us. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for everyone here joining us. I'd like to invite our guests in the room to join us for refreshments, one level down in the upper ground staff room. And I'm sorry we can't Uber any eats to our online audience, but I'd like to thank you very much. And Fazal, we do have a gift for you from the Centre of Excellence and the School of Computer Science and Applied Maths that we will be sending to you in small symbol of our appreciation for all you've done for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Goodbye.
Session has been recorded. If you would like to share it with anyone, we will share it with you. Thank you, and all the best, Fazal, to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.